Hello and welcome to part 2 of removing the propane from my camper van. In the last video it was mostly shots of my legs under the van while I muttered incoherently and babbled as I took out the actual propane cylinder. Today it's largely going to be, well, probably just a shot of my back. Possibly, getting into OnlyFans territory here, a shot of my buttocks as I will be leaning into the cabinets inside the van trying to take out the internal pipework and the propane heater. I've had a lot of people saying, well, why are you doing this? And I will come to that and I will explain all of that when I put the new system in, which won't be in this video, it'll be in a subsequent video. I think this is going to be a multi-part exercise. But for today, I need to take out the pipework, the heater, and then make a start on taking out the hob, which of course is a combined hob and sink unit, which I seem to recall I screwed in, but I'm not sure if I glued it in as well. And we'll come to that bridge when I cross it, if that's the right phrase. Well, now that is the hob and sink unit, so the pipework is underneath there, and also down behind there is where the heater unit is. So I can remove that towel for a start, and then I can pull that panel off. The heater's back there and the pipework runs sort of up there-ish. It should just be a matter, I think, of taking a small spanner and undoing the compression joints. It was all brass pipework. I'm rather hoping I'll just be able to do a straight swap of that heater unit. It's a Propex HS2000 with a modern diesel heater, not one of those cheap ones that you see a lot of van lifers going for. I'm going to go with an auto-term unit, as they are decent quality, reliable, and sort of midway between the cheap ones and the really expensive ones. But they work on the same sort of principle, with a air in and exhaust out, so I'm hoping I can just swap it over, obviously with the addition of a diesel tank. Now there is some of the pipework coming in. It goes down towards the diesel heater there, not diesel heater, the gas heater, and comes across to the hob unit there. So hopefully just unscrew it and take it all off. Let's give it a go. I don't seem to have an appropriately sized spanner, so I shall use an adjustable tool. Let us descend into the murky depths. Is that loosening that? Oh, it is. Right, a little bit of loosening with the tool and then by hand. So that's that moved, and then that's that moved. Is there enough movement to actually take the flipping things off, though? The heater ducting is getting slightly in the way. Why won't that unscrew? Well, there's a slight bend in the pipe, which I had to put in to make it go round, and that's actually stopping the unscrewing. There we go. Ah! Okay, I think that's off. Yes. Now, the pipe needs to be able to bend a little in order to... Oh, it does! There we go. Hey! First piece of pipe. Out. That is now the hob disconnected. There's also a T in the feed from the gas cylinder. I should point out, by the way, for new viewers, the gas cylinder was entirely removed. There is no gas left in this. This is empty pipework. So don't worry. That was all documented in the previous video. The hob, now that's held on with a screw. What sort of screw thread is that? Oh, my old eyes, I can't see anything these days. It's a crosshead of some sort. If I unscrew that from the woodwork holding it in place, it'll give me enough flexibility to take the pipe off. It's a wonder to me how you ever get these pipes in, really, because they need to be pushed firmly into the thing you're putting them into, the joints, so that the compression thing works properly. And yet the pipe is quite stiff, being copper piping. So how you ever actually, I mean, I obviously did it, but how you ever actually get it so that you've got enough bend on it to get the thing back to put it in the hole, I don't know. I just can't really work out how it ever... Flexible piping would be a lot easier, but in the UK you're supposed to use, for whatever reason I don't know, copper piping as soon as you've gone from the regulator. The flexible stuff, which would seem to me to make a lot more sense, you're not supposed to use. Right, there's one of the little shut-off valves, the one that went to the hob. Are you coming off? There we go, there's bit number 2. Now obviously all this is now scrap. I suppose you could, if I had another gas project, I suppose one could reuse some of those bits, but I don't have another gas project, so... Now there's another stop thing for the heater. Can I get the screwdriver into the screw? Completely blind. Oh, I can! Hooray! Which is going to be quite difficult because the old gas tank gets in the way of my spanner. Let's see if that is loosenable. Oh, it sort of is. Oh, am I tightening that up? Oh, I think I'm accidentally tightening that one up. No wonder it didn't want to come. There we go. Yes, that's better. I think that's all going to come off in one unit. Yes, it is. And there we go. There's a piece with the T junction on it and a stop tap which went to the heater. Right, so the heater is now disconnected from the gas. I'll have to go back to the tank to get the bit off the regulator, won't I? Yes, I will. Oh, anyway, this is coming along. It's coming along. Back in the empty gas cylinder, I still have the regulator, and there's a bit of pipe going off the back of the regulator through, so I need to take that off. Oh, I already have loosened that one. I did that last time, didn't I? Yes, I did. So in fact, that ought to just wiggle through the back of the... Why isn't that coming off? I don't know. I don't know is the answer. That's been loosened. So that bit of pipe is free. It's just sitting in... There we go. I think because there's a bend in the pipe, it doesn't want to go through the... It doesn't... there we go. There we go. Wiggling it a bit. Now, there's probably that... The compression joint on the other end is now stopping me bringing the pipe back through the hole. And I realise I did put a little grommet, obviously to keep it all gas tight. So that's quite a tight fit for that bit of pipe. I am probably going to have to get my pipe cutter on that to be able to get the two bits out. Which begs the question, what have I done with the pipe cutter? Because I haven't seen that in a long time. Aha! Look what I found. Pipe cutter. There we go. Bit of pipe. Now that one should just push backwards through the hole. And drop out on the other side. I won't drop it out, I shall pull it through. And that just leaves the regulator, which I think has got, yes, just some little screws. There is the regulator, and it's got two screws there, and I think there are two further back, and the top of those, they're not screws, they're bolts, and the top is kind of under there-ish. So I'm going to need to take the cupboard unit out Luckily, I designed it for that. First things first, this top cupboard unit needs to come out. That is held in place by 2 latches and then it just slides off. Once that is slid off, the cupboard unit at the end is loose and can slide sideways and be taken off. And that comes off like that. Okay, good start. And at this point you can see the tops of those bolts holding the regulator on. That last little bit of piping, which, oh there we go, just comes straight out. And down there is the back of the heater unit and all that gubbins. Right, let's set to taking the regulator out. The plan is to hold it with that at the top and then use the pliers underneath. And there we go. One perfectly decent regulator. Well, the regulator was there, where those holes are. Of course, that does leave me with some little holes in the top of this tank, but as it's no longer a propane tank, it doesn't really matter. It's going to become where I put the little diesel tank for the diesel heater. With that done, that is all the gas pipework out of the system. So now I just need to remove the Propex heater and the gas hob. I'm going to have to completely remake my kitchen worktop for this because there'll have to be a new sink. Turning it a bigger job than I initially imagined. As these things do, it occurs to me, pondering on this, that notwithstanding all the open access I've got there at the back and through that hatch to get to the heater, it will be even easier to get to the heater once I've taken this out, because then there'll be a giant hole through which I can reach. The question then is, how did I put this in? I have a feeling there are some screws underneath. So I'm going to have to delve, and you may well be exposed to my buttocks again. So, mature content warning and all that. Okie dokie. I shall put my little light on. I can see little wooden blocks on the corners, which I think I added because the thickness of the top here wasn't really thick enough for the length of screws that were going through. So, are there similar ones down that end? I can't see from here. And I'm about to see... Oh, excuse me. As I was saying, I was about to sneeze. So somewhere under here, there are screws. Oh, I remember. Isn't that marvellous when it suddenly comes back to you? Hidden under these little black plastic caps are the screw heads, so this might actually be easy. Have I just jinxed it? There are these little plastic screw head caps, 4 of them, and if I pry them off, the screws holding the sink in come up, and then this whole thing, I think, just comes up. The only thing I have to be aware of course, is the tap is still plumbed in, but that's easy to disconnect. And I think this whole thing just comes off. 4 screws out. It started raining, so I may have to shut the side door, otherwise it's going to get very soggy in here. That may make things a little dark. But in theory, that should now just pry upwards and come off. That one goes to the tap there. Oh, and the waste, of course, is actually the waste is just a hose that goes down into the top of a bucket. That just can come straight out as it is. That's fine. If I unscrew that, screwed, it just needs a wiggle. Oh, and some water, of course. Forgot about that, water in the pipe. Now in theory then, this is loose. And if I get a flathead screwdriver or something, I think, oh yeah, hello, look at that, it's literally just lifting like that. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised. Little bit stuck. I just want to make sure there weren't any other, yeah, any other things that held it down that I've forgotten about. Let's put that down, that would be sensible. Just loosen it gently. Well, I think that's ready to come out. Yeah, it also seems to be slightly heavier than I remember. And I don't want to end up breaking any of the gas piping underneath because I'm hoping to sell this. It's like it's caught on something. But what? Of all the inelegant poses I show you, that's the hinges. That's not... Oh, is there another screw? Oh, hang on. Oh, you silly sod, there's 4 more in the middle. No wonder it wasn't coming up. At least that's an easy solution. Right, okay. Yes, look, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6? Seems excessive. That's not a screw, that's just a random rubber bung. But that one, I think, yes it is, and that one, yes, they are the same sort of screws. Right, have I missed any others while I'm here? Can you hear that rain? It's really starting to chuck it down now. Let's undo that. Oh, and I had washing to hang out later. Is that the lot? Ooh! That was an unpleasant noise, wasn't it? But I think it's just the thing unsticking. I don't think that was anything bad. There is this rubber seal around it. Oh, well, I haven't shut the door properly and the rain's coming in. Hang on. Right. Now, where were we? That is actually now disconnected. Yes. Oh, wait, what a minute. The electrics to the switch. The switch, of course. Now, they just pull off, don't they? Let's see if I can do it like this in a rather precarious fashion. Because the tap has the switch that drives the little pump. And that has 2 connectors. There's one. And they just pull apart. Ah! Okay, okay. Is that the lot? I think it is. One sink and hob unit ready for resale. Complete with washing up brush somewhere in there, which I will retrieve. Okay, now there's the little rubber seal, which a new purchaser would also probably want. It's all beginning to feel a bit destructive, like the early days of building the van. I mean, look down there. There we go. There's the water containers at this end. There's the boxing I did over the wheel arch. There's the heater unit, which is now pretty accessible. And it's only held in place, if I remember rightly, by 4 screws. You see that metal plate on the left? There's one on the right as well. It just holds in place like that. Obviously, I can reuse the ducting. So that should come out now as well. And then that's everything out. This is a better view of that little bracket. And a couple of screws there, and we've already disconnected the gas. Oh, I'll have to take the control panel off, of course. The control panel wires are those black ones. This lid with the 2 screws there comes off so that you can disconnect the control panel from the heater. So actually I'll do that first. Now these are Torx heads, but that's okay, I have a set of Torx screwdrivers. The trouble is, although I can get one in there, because there is a hole from above where the hob was, I cannot get one in there because my screwdriver's too tall. So in fact, I'm going to have to take this off its metal plate before I can get that off. So what is that? That's a standard crosshead. Well, now I had that screwdriver a minute ago. Let's see if I can... Of course, the heater unit is also still connected to its air inlet and exhaust pipe underneath, so I'll need to take those off. It's a never-ending story of things that need to be disconnected, isn't it? Now this is going to have to be done with a bit of prodding until I find the screw hole, I think. Unless I didn't actually screw it down on that side. No, I did. Oh, what a professional I am. Can I see where it is though? No, I can't. Oh, this is tiresome. I really can't. How the hell did I even screw that up in the first place? There we go. 4 screws. So now, in theory, that is loose. Other than, except that it, oh no, I think it is actually. Other than it being connected to the pipes underneath. It feels like there's something I've missed. 1 screw. The brackets will be the same on either side. 2 screws. I think I'll go and do the bit underneath. I didn't exactly know this day would come, but I knew I would possibly want to access the exhaust pipes and heating pipes at some point. So I put in this detachable panel. In fact, I should really just pull all this heating duct off. And under there are the exhaust and combustion air inlet to the heater. I tell you what, I'm going to take this ducting off. I think it just pulls off. Fairly certain this just pushes into that. It does, because that's a little coupler thing, which I've got another one of those there. Right. This really is dismantling the van, isn't it? Which means that can just gently push out the way for a minute, round there. And that gives a much better view of, you can see the one that is lagged is the exhaust pipe, and the one in the non-lagging with a blue silicon corner piece on it is the combustion air inlet, held on with a Jubilee clip. So I need a small spannery thing and a screwdriver. Right, that's on. Turning it, that feels like it's coming loose. Is that actually turning the nut at all, or am I just wiggling a spanner in thin air, thinking I'm turning a nut? I've done that many a time before, happily wiggling something around and thinking, what great progress I'm making. I'm not sure that is. No, that is on, isn't it? That is on. Come along, let us be optimistic here. I think it's just going to take a lot of tries. That's on again. Turn, let it off. The other thing I can sometimes tend to do is give it a good turn, and then in the process of taking the spanner off to go for another go, I turn it back the way I've just come. On again, on, that's on again, yes. Surely by now that's finger loosened. Or, even if not finger loosened, enough for me to now pull that off the heater. No, apparently not. Something odd going on here. That feels, there's no friction when I'm turning that at all. That feels very loose. So I'm thinking it ought to now be at the point I should have released the tension holding the pipe onto the bottom of the heater. Even with just a few turns of that, it should now be loosened sufficiently that you can then pull the heater pipe off. And the fact that I can't worries me. Also worrying me is the fact that it now seems to be getting stiffer. This is riveting television, isn't it? It is a few moments later and I can feel that the Jubilee clip itself is movable as a whole, as in I can rotate it round the pipe, which means the only thing holding that pipe on now is the friction of it. I do remember it was designed to be a very tight friction fit. That's the whole point. It's an exhaust pipe. And the bright blue high temperature silicon pipe, which is a 90-degree angle so that you can go up into the heater, it's designed to be a very tight fit, obviously, because you don't want exhaust leaking out into the van. But it also doesn't want to come off. I'm going to lift the heater unit the other way and see if that... Oops! Come on, come on. All that is holding you now is friction. And I just haven't got much leverage in it here to wiggle it or pull it off, but it's got to come off first before I can get the the combustion air inlet one off. Oh! I suppose the other way of doing it would be to undo this one. Oh, I'd have to take all the exhaust wrap off. No, forget that plan. I was thinking then the little corner piece, I could just take it off the exhaust, but I'd have to take all the exhaust wrap off. That took so long I had to turn the camera off. But finally, the silicon pipe, with just a lot of wiggling, I had to just wiggle and turn and twist and pull, and now it is free of the spigot. So that's the exhaust one. Now I've got to do it all over again for the cold air inlet, the combustion air inlet, which has its own, what do you know, its own little Jubilee clip somewhere up there. I suppose the only way is to give it a good old tug. Honestly, this episode is turning into Filth Central, what with buttocks and good old tugs. I think that is moving off. Yes, 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 yes. Yay! Oh, look, there it is. Which must mean this heater unit can now lift up. I don't have any good place to balance the camera while I do this, but that heater unit is now just sitting there by gravity, and I should be able to just lift it up. Apart from the control wires, but I just need to lift it forward enough that I can then take the second Torx screw out to remove the lid, to take the control wires off, to take the whole thing off. There we go. That's enough. Gonna thump the camera in a second, but that's enough for me to get a... Oh, I don't want to strain those. They haven't got any flex on them. Let's put it... Oh, the entire metal bracket's coming off on that side. I wonder why. Let's just put it like that so I can get to the Torx. There we go. Now we've got two bits in here that need to be removed. They just not quite pull off, but you press a little bit on the white connector and then they pull off. So
If I push that, gently, that connector comes off. Right, thank you camera for blurring at just the wrong moment. And then that one, same sort of thing, push, and it comes off. So the heater unit is now free. And if we're lucky, out it comes. What is that caught on? Oh, I see, there's just some screws underneath holding the metal bracket, which obviously weren't done up fully. I remember that was part of my plan to be able to take it out now. I remember I didn't put that bracket on completely screwed on, so that if I took the other one off, I could slide this off, but of course that would never work because of the exhaust vent coming out the bottom, so that was a silly plan. Anyway, got it. That's the main thing. I'll put this cover back on now. Keep that safe and its screws safe. And we're pretty much done. The last bit on this will be to take these control wires out, which, as you can see, I ducted just a little way to the back, and then they come out, then they go round the back of the fridge, and they emerge at the little control panel. I'm hoping that will just be a case of pulling them all out. But the van is in chaos at the moment, so I can't even get to that, so I need to tidy up. Oh, that's power, isn't it? That one is power from the main 12-volt system. Did I use my own cables or their cables for this? Ah, look what I've done. Ah, I've used a bit of their cable and I've joined it onto a bit of mine. I don't know if there is a proper technique for getting little nailed cable hooks out of a bit of wood. I normally use the wire to kind of put a bit of pull on them, which I'm sure you aren't supposed to do, but the nails don't usually go in very firmly. Having said that, this one of course has. Perhaps if I can get a screwdriver under it I can lever that out or something. That might be the best idea. Let's have a go. Which angle to approach it from? That's one. Try not to stab myself with the nail. Good. And carry on round the back of the fridge. There is a slight potential hiccup here, as round the back of the fridge the wire, as you can see, disappears through that bit of wood and in behind that bit of wood, which is all glued on and trimmed in, and into the back of that cupboard until it gets to the control panel there. The front of the control panel comes off, so that's what I'm about to do, in the hope that the wire will then just pull back through there. I know it's a vain hope, but you know, let's give it a go. There we go. Ah, oh, oh, ah, aha, ha, oh. Right, we do have a disconnecting cable, but look, it's a big flat one. That's not going to go back through those holes, is it? Anyway, well, let's start by disconnecting it so that we're off to a good start. Right, press that, pull that, there we go. Right, control panel, one separate unit, good. Now, this somehow has to make its way back through the trim. I'm going to have to dismember this trim, aren't I, to get that out. It's possible there's a piece of trim on the back of that which forms the back of this cupboard. It is possible I can attack that, which of course will be considerably less visible. But I'm going to have to do that outside. It's chucking with rain, it's a miserable day, and I need a cup of tea. So honestly, with just that one bit left to do, I'm going to call a halt to this. Yeah, I think I'm going to call that done for the day. Yes, I need a nicer day to go and do that. So that last bit remains, but essentially heater out, hob out, all the gas pipes taken out, now pretty much ready to do the start of the rebuild with the new electrical system and induction hob, etc. And also I'm going to upgrade the water system as well while I'm putting a new sink in.